Afternoon topic, Mixer family. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. If you see this video, I hope you will like and share with your friends. I'm still trying to grow my base. I got subscribers now. I want to add more subscribers. Hopefully, you will enjoy my films. We will get back to politics, but I've been trying to avoid politics. There is a subject I want to talk about, and when I do get on that, we will. But right today, let's talk about one of my other favorite subjects, Star Wars. The Mandalorian Chapter 14. I got to watch it, and I was like, whoa, on edge the whole time I watched it. I think it was an awesome episode. In this episode, they didn't beat around the bush. After Chapter 13, where we met Ashoka, and Ashoka said that they needed to go to Tython. Guess what? Next episode, they went to Tython. They didn't go to any other planets. They didn't do any other things. They went straight to Tython. Okay. Well, in this episode, we get to see Tython. We get to see the Jedi Temple on Tython. Some say they're familiar with it, I believe. I've never played the game. Force Unleashed. It may also be in Knights of the Old Republic. So it's in one of those games. So that I've never played those games, but I know that it exists. So for all you Star Wars fans out there, comment below. Tell me where this temple came from. I would love to know. But it's good to see that. So there's another temple other than the one on Octu or the one that used to be on Coruscant that we see here. Of course, one on Coruscant had that big library with all the information, and the one on Octu had the books from the original Jedi. Well, this one seems to be simply a meditation temple. There was not much to it other than that stone on the mountain, and I guess it's somewhere where Jedis can go to link up. That's what I get from what I saw. So, in this episode, Grogu starts to meditate, and while he's doing that, Slave One shows up. So yes, Boba Fett was in this episode, and that was awesome as well. We get a whole backstory on Boba Fett with this episode, and I'll get into that in a minute. Anyway, Boba Fett is there not for the baby, but for the armor. And apparently, whatever that tracker is, I'm sure if Boba Fett's still a bounty hunter, all the bounty hunters have a tracker to get the baby. So they put that same tracker that's on there that the bounty hunters have, so they're tracking that ship down, and they tracked it down too. So when Boba got there, he said, "Hey, I tracked you down. I'm here for the armor." And he brought Finney. Remember her? Finney. Finney was the bounty hunter on Tatooine in the first season who got killed, or supposedly got killed. Come to find out, she was injured, shot in the stomach, and now she has robotic parts thanks to Boba Fett. So here we go with another bounty hunter that's been repurposed or reprogrammed by another bounty hunter. And in this case, it was Boba Fett. So she's working with Boba Fett. She's loyal to Boba Fett. This loyalty thing, you'll see, will play out in this whole series. So then after this, they team up because guess who shows up? The Empire, which kind of blows Boba Fett's plans and Mando's plans. So Mando's still trying to get Baby Yoda off that hill. He can't do it. They fight with the stormtroopers. Can I say clown troopers? Because they do a terrible job as usual. It's always the case with the stormtroopers. They can't shoot straight. They have a energy weapon and they can't do anything. And they even have mortars, still can't do anything. They got a little, fire and do this, that, and that. But they end up getting their butts whooped. And we get to see how good Boba Fett really is. He takes the Sand People's staff and he's just whooping tail. Then he gets the armor. When the clown troopers escape, get back on the transport and try to head to outer space, he blows their transport. He hits one, the two just bump into each other and disintegrate. Boom, that's the end of the troopers. But that's not where the story ends. Here comes the Death Troopers. And I'm not talking about the Death Troopers you may have seen in Rogue One. These are robots that come flying down and they swoop down to the temple just as Grogu is coming out of the trance, and they sweep up Grogu. So Boba Fett goes after him. He's threatening. He was going to shoot them down, but then said no, because I don't want to harm the baby. Well, the Empire now has Grogu, so we're going through that, and that's the basics of what happens in this episode. So we learned that Moff Gideon has baby, and he's getting back in contact with this scientist that he has under control, and it seems like this scientist, like all the other scientists, are being forced to do what they do, as we found out in Rogue One. Nobody's really wanting to work for the Empire, but hey, it's the Empire. They got all the power. So, let me talk about a few things. Start first with the biggest one, Boba Fett. Boba Fett is back. Boba Fett supposedly died in the Sarlacc pit and returned to the Jedi unceremoniously. I mean, his hits his jetpack and he flies off and he ends up in the Sarlacc. He breaks just one swipe of the lightsaber, falls in the Sarlacc pit. All you hear is a scream, and so well, that's it. He's going to be digested for 1,000 years. Apparently, that's not exactly the case. He somehow got out. I forget what they call those dragons, but the dragons that were on Tatooine ate one of these Sarlaccs. So it's possible that something happened between one of those dragons and the Sarlaccs. If you know what the exact name of those dragons are from that episode, please comment below. So he apparently escaped. Now we can see that on the face of Boba Fett there, it looks like there's some significant injuries, and he's kind of mangled. And of course, he's older because this happened. He's supposed to be older anyway at this point, but this happened after after his ordeal in the Sarlacc pit's belly. So, you see the injuries on his face. Now, you never find out what happened to him, but Boba Fett is one bad A. I mean, he was kicking butt in this episode. He was tossing stormtroopers around, avoiding gunfire, doing all that stuff like a Karate Kid. Kind of like the dude from Rogue One. He was kicking butt. I mean, you just saw him kicking butt. And Finale, she did a great job too. She showed her sharp shooter skills, taking out what's called left and right. And we also know that Mando's armor is impenetrable because they kept shooting at that armor, and he just kept coming. He was taking out some of himself. So those three together can probably take out about 100 stormtroopers easy, no problem. Because the stormtroopers are clown troopers. They're terrible at what they do. You got weapons that should have taken those guys out, and didn't do any of that at all. So, as usual, that's an interesting concept. But here we see, again, the Empire is up to something because they need that baby so bad that they're willing to risk that many troops. It had to be well over 100 troops that went down there to the surface of the planet, considering they probably don't have that many troops they could have built up. I mean, the Empire is still around, so in their little segment in society. But we get that Moff Gideon is important to this story, but is he important to the overall story? Because we hear that Thrawn is still around. So if Thrawn is still around, then that means Moff Gideon is maybe underling of Thrawn, who is the commanding admiral. He's a grand admiral, so he's a top guy. He's bigger than a Moff. A Moff is like a local area governor type deal. But he got a lot of troopers under his control. So, we can speculate about that later. But Moff is up to something. He's got these awesome death troopers that are robots. That's different than before. So now we're talking about death troopers that are robots. So here goes Mando's issue. He doesn't like robots. Now he got some robots he don't have to like. He can kill. He. So we shall see how that works out as well. And I'm trying to figure out where this is going with the whole thing with Grogu and Moff Gideon, because Moff Gideon had that lightsaber. He said, "Oh yeah, at the end you saw that he was torturing Grogu." with that saber, say, "Oh, yeah, one of these. Hey, you've never had one of these. You're not ready for one of these yet." And of course, Grogu passed out, or rather, they shot Grogu with a stun gun and called the call the scientists to, I guess, examine him again. Meanwhile, let's go back to the other story, like I said, with Boba Fett. So we find out Boba Fett was just there to get the armor back. And what we find out, something that this is an ongoing story in the Star Wars universe. If you're an insider, you know that Boba Fett was not really a Mandalorian. But now you find out that his father was a son, was a child of the Mandos, just like Mando is. He's not really a Mandalorian per se, but he has, because he wears a Mandalorian armor, because he was born into that society, he becomes a Mandalorian and of the same order as Mando. So he has a right to the armor. So Mando gives him the armor back, and once Boba Fett gets the armor, he becomes even bigger badass. Like I said, he shot down the 2 ships, disintegrated one. It was something to watch, But we learn the story behind Boba Fett, and we also find that Boba Fett has rules to his life. So basically, he's indebted now to Mando to get the baby back because he's gotten the armor. This is awesome to find out. So we got another team up coming, like last season, another team up for a bigger battle that's yet to come. Also, Mando goes back and teams up with his friend, the one that was the former rebel soldier who is now a marshal for the Alliance, to try to break out. Goodness gracious. This dude, he was one bad dude. He was one bad dude, definitely. Miggs Mayfield, that's his name, Miggs Mayfield. If you remember that episode, they were on that on the Alliance prison transport, prison ship, and they were supposed to be trying to break somebody out, and it ended up that they really were trying to backstrap Mando, and Mando ended up getting those guys all caught, and they all ended up in cells aboard that ship. So now, Miggs Mayfield, the one main character, needs to be broken out again, so to help Mando go after the Empire. We'll see how that works out. I'm anxious to see how this all ends at this point. But there's some things I would like to discuss. Like I said, we're starting the Death Troopers, the robotic Death Troopers. That was a new introduction into the show, and they seem like they're going to be some bad dudes, some really bad dudes and hard to handle. A step above the normal stormtroopers in this case. So we're going to see what happens there. The fact that Boba Fett was related to, or the Mando Creed is in his family, is something that we've been trying to leave out for a while. Now, he's not a direct Mandalorian. He is not like the Death Watch. He is not from the planet Mandalorian. He's not Mandalorian. He's not from their world. He's more like Ben Jaren, who is a foundling, so to speak. He becomes a Mandalorian through a process of kind of adoption. So it's the same thing with Boba Fett, who is actually a clone. At this point, we understand that he's a clone of his father, Jango Fett. So because of this, Boba Fett has a right to the armor, as seen through the eyes of Mando. Mando still has a lot to learn about being Mandalorian, as we find out when he interacts with the Death Watch. But there's a lot here that's interesting. Another thing that's interesting, I don't know if you noticed Grogu at the end of the show, if you watch the show, how he was force choking and throwing around the troops. That's something that a dark side user would use. But if you ever notice that every time Grogu uses the force, he kind of wears out, he's tired. He hasn't learned to gain that strength that he needs to be a stronger force user yet. So it's probably going to be some time before that happens. But we see that he's progressing his how he uses his powers, because he picked up the creature in that one episode on Tatooine, and we saw him do that. So we know he has the power to do that. We understand that he's been trained. He's just, his link with the Force is sometimes shaky, so he doesn't use it all the time. His emotional state has caused him to lose some memory of what he is. But the fact that he keeps going to the dark side is something that's bothersome. And I know some people saying, well, that's because he doesn't know better. I'm wondering about that. We'll see how that goes. Another thing that comes up with him is, who is it that he spoke with? Who is this master that he will eventually link up with? That may not happen this season. Don't know. It may happen at the end. Not sure. But that's a question that comes to hand as we journey into the next couple of episodes. To me, that's the most pressing question is this. And unfortunate for the Razor Crest, it's gone. That wonderful ship is gone. The Razor Crest was destroyed by the Empire. Did leave behind that spear, that metal. Of course, that tell you how strong that metal is and how strong Mando may eventually become. Is how powerful his armor becomes. So powerful that even a blast from an Imperial ship can't do any damage to his armor. Could you imagine that? That would be something else. You already find out, the most powerful weapon in the universe, the lightsaber, it can't penetrate that. It just, I just can't wait to see where this is going with that either. So, hey, if you liked the video, been on here for a minute, I enjoyed this episode. It was well directed, good order, and short, to the point. That's my kind of episode. But to see Boba Fett in action and to know that this guy is an awesome character is great. That harkens back to my childhood, and some of you guys' childhood probably remember what happened to Jango Fett in that fight with Mace Windu where his head came off. So, if you like this video, please hit like below. And if you have any comments or questions or concerns or anything, I would like to hear from you. So please comment below. And again, thank you for watching this video. Y'all have a wonderful evening. And this has been Topic Mixer.